Welcome back. Let me ask you something. What if the most valuable thing in your home right now isn't in your bank account, your retirement fund, or your investments, but inside a jar, a drawer, or an old coffee can filled with pennies you forgot about years ago? Sounds crazy, right? But stay with me, because today we're talking about one single coin, the 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, and why certain rare errors from this year have quietly sold for life-changing money. And I mean real money, thousands, tens of thousands, and in rare cases amounts that make people sit down and say, wait, this was just a penny. Now before you scroll away thinking, yeah, right, I've heard this before, let me ask you another question. What if this time it's actually true? What if the next coin you touch is the one that changes your financial future? Let's begin. Picture this. It's 1964. The Beatles are on the radio. Gas is 30 cents a gallon, and the U.S. Mint is producing billions of Lincoln pennies for everyday circulation. These coins are everywhere in pockets, piggy banks, lunch money, couch cushions, and change jars across America. Nobody thought twice about them. Nobody saved them. Nobody imagined that 60 years later, one tiny mistake on one ordinary-looking penny could be worth more than a luxury car. And that's exactly why this story is so powerful. Because the 1964 no-mint mark penny isn't rare by itself. Most of them are worth 1 cent. Maybe 2, maybe 5 if they're shiny and uncirculated. But hidden inside this massive production run were mistakes, mint errors. And in the coin world, errors are where ordinary turns into extraordinary. Here's the part that should make your heart beat just a little faster. Some 1964 pennies were struck off-center. Some were double-struck. Some showed dramatic doubling on Lincoln's face or the date. Others were struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning the coin was made on a blank meant for a different denomination. And when those errors are real, certified, and in high condition, collectors don't see pennies. They see opportunities. Let me ask you something. Have you ever really looked at your pennies? Not glanced at them, not dumped them into a jar, but actually looked at the date, the letters, Lincoln's face, the edges, the weight, the sound when dropped on a table. Because statistically speaking, if you've handled thousands of pennies in your life, the odds that you've touched a valuable error coin at least once are higher than you think. And here's the scary part. Most people spend these coins without ever knowing what they had. Let that sink in. Somebody, somewhere, once bought a soda with a coin that later would have sold for thousands of dollars. And they'll never know. Now I want you to imagine something else. Imagine opening an old box in your closet, a dusty jar from your childhood, a coin roll from your grandfather. You pull out a penny. You see the date 1964. No mint mark under the date. You almost toss it aside, but something looks strange. The letters look thicker. Lincoln's profile looks doubled. The rim looks off-center, and suddenly your heart speeds up. Could this be something? That moment, that pause, that curiosity, that's where wealth stories begin. Let me ask you directly. Do you know how to sell old rare coins? Do you know how to sell coins safely without getting ripped off? Do you know how to make money from coins you already own? Do you know how people go from pocket change to millions? Do you know how to sell old and rare coins in the USA and what their real auction value is? Most people don't. And that's exactly why most people never profit from what they already have. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Collectors don't care about how many coins were made. They care about how many survived in perfect condition with rare errors and verified authenticity. A normal 1964 penny, worth 1 cent. A clean, uncirculated one, maybe a few dollars. But a 1964 penny with a strong double-die error, hundreds to thousands, an off-metal strike, thousands, a dramatic off-center strike with full date and mint detail, even more. And if you combine rare error plus high grade plus professional certification, that's when you see auction results that shock people. This is where the room gets quiet, because suddenly this isn't about coins anymore. It's about missed opportunities. It's about hidden wealth. It's about the fact that millions of Americans are sitting on assets they don't even recognize. Let me pause for a second and ask you something funny but serious. When was the last time you actually looked at your change instead of throwing it in a jar like it owed you money? Exactly. And don't worry, you're not alone. Most people treat pennies like background noise, like clutter, like something beneath attention. And yet, history shows that it's exactly the things people ignore that sometimes hold the greatest value. Now let's talk about fear for a moment. Because here's the truth nobody likes to admit. Every day, valuable coins are being spent at gas stations. Every week, rare error coins are dumped into Coinstar machines. Every month, priceless collectibles are lost forever in circulation. Not stolen, not destroyed, ignored. And once they're gone. Which raises a serious question. What if you already had a valuable coin and didn't know it? What if the opportunity already passed through your hands? What if it's still sitting in your home right now? That uncertainty, that what if, that's not fear, that's awareness. And awareness is the first step toward wealth. Now let's shift gears for a moment, because I don't want this to feel like fantasy. I want this to feel like strategy. So let's talk about how people actually make money from coins. First, they learn what to look for. Second, they verify what they have. Third, they sell correctly, not emotionally, not randomly, and not to the first person who offers cash. That's how serious collectors do it. So what should you look for on a 1964 no-mint mark penny? Look closely at the date. Are the numbers doubled or thickened? Look at Lincoln's face. Do his eye, nose, or beard look shadowed or doubled? Look at the words liberty and in God we trust. Do the letters look doubled or distorted? Look at the rim. Is the strike off-center? Look at the color. Is it copper? Is it silver-looking? Does it feel heavier or lighter than normal? And here's a big one. Does your coin look different from others of the same year? Because difference is where value begins. Now let me reset your attention for a second. Quick question. If I offered you 1 penny or a sealed envelope that might contain $10,000, which one would you choose? Exactly. But what if I told you sometimes they're the same thing? Now that's uncomfortable, isn't it? Let's move into the second act of this story, because this is where curiosity turns into possibility. Collectors and dealers know something most people don't. Coins are not money. Coins are assets, and assets don't behave like cash. They appreciate. They compound. They rise in value as supply disappears and demand grows. And when it comes to error coins, the supply never increases. A mistake struck in 1964 will never be struck again. That error is frozen in time, which means every time one is lost, spent, damaged, or destroyed, the remaining examples become more valuable. Let that sink in. Scarcity creates value. Time creates demand. Condition creates price. And the right combination of all three creates wealth. Now let's talk about selling, because this is where most people fail. They walk into a random shop. They take the first offer. They accept cash because it feels fast. And they walk away from potentially thousands of dollars. Let me ask you something. Do you want fast money or smart money? Because those two are rarely the same. So how do you sell old rare coins correctly? First, never clean your coins. Ever. Cleaning destroys value. That shiny penny you polished might have been worth hundreds, and now it's worth face value. Second, get your coin authenticated and graded by a professional grading service. This turns your coin into a verified asset with a documented value range. Third, compare real auction results, not asking prices, not YouTube claims, not Facebook comments, but actual sold listings. Fourth, choose the right selling platform. High-end coins belong in major auctions. Mid-tier coins do well online. Lower-tier collectibles move best through dealers or collectors. And here's the question nobody asks, but everyone should. Where do serious collectors shop? Not at flea markets, not at yard sales, not on random message boards. They shop at auctions. That's where competitive bidding pushes prices higher. That's where verified coins bring premium money. That's where real wealth transactions happen. So if you're asking, how do I sell old rare coins? How do I sell coins safely? How do I make money from coins? How do people go from pocket change to millions? How do I sell old and rare coins in the USA? What is my coin really worth at auction? The answer starts with knowledge, not luck. Now let's zoom out for a moment. Why does this matter? Because most people believe wealth comes from earning more. But real wealth often comes from recognizing value where others see nothing. Collectors don't hunt for money. They hunt for mistakes. And mistakes are where fortunes hide. Let me ask you something bold. What if the next breakthrough in your financial life isn't a promotion, isn't a business, isn't a lottery ticket, but a coin you already own? What if your wealth story doesn't start with earning more but noticing more? Now here's where urgency comes in, because time is not neutral in collectibles. Every year, coins get lost, coins get damaged, coins get cleaned, coins get spent, coins disappear. And every year, collectors pay more for what remains, which means waiting doesn't just delay opportunity. Waiting costs opportunity. Let me reset your attention again with something honest. You probably check your phone more than your wallet. You probably track your bank account more than your change. You probably know your credit score better than the coins in your home. And yet, your next opportunity might be sitting quietly in a drawer waiting for you to notice it. Now let's bring this back to the 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. This coin is everywhere, which means it's overlooked, which means rare errors survive unnoticed, which means the upside is still real. That combination, common date, rare errors, high collector demand, is exactly what creates sleeper opportunities. And sleepers are where serious collectors make serious money. Let me ask you something personal. If you found out today that you owned a coin worth $5,000, would that change your week, your month, your plans? What about $25,000, $50,000, $100,000? At what number does curiosity turn into urgency for you? Because those numbers aren't fantasy. They're documented auction results. And while not every coin hits that level, some do. Which brings us to the final act of this story. This isn't really about pennies. It's about awareness. It's about realizing that wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides. Sometimes it looks boring. Until someone who knows what to look for pays attention. You don't need to become a professional numismatist. You don't need to memorize thousands of coin varieties. You don't need to gamble, you just need to start looking. Look at your change. Look at your jars. Look at your rolls. Look at inherited collections. Look at forgotten boxes and ask better questions. Is this normal? Is this doubled? Is this off-center? Is this heavier? Is this different? Because different is where value begins. And now let me ask you the most important question of all. What if you don't check? Because if you don't, someone else will. That gas station cashier, that coin machine, that dealer, that collector. Someone will eventually recognize value. The only question is, will it be you? So here's your challenge. Tonight, take 5 minutes, just 5. Grab a handful of pennies. Look for 1964. Look for no mint mark. Look for anything unusual. And ask yourself, what if this one's different? Because the people who build wealth from collectibles don't wait for luck. They create opportunity by paying attention. And maybe, just maybe, your journey from pocket change to serious money doesn't start in a bank but in your own hands. Let me leave you with this. Money doesn't always look like money. Sometimes it looks like copper. Sometimes it looks ordinary. Sometimes it looks like nothing at all until someone who knows better decides to look twice. So tell me, have you checked your pennies yet? And if you haven't, why not start now? Welcome back. Let me ask you something that might completely change the way you look at your spare change. What if a single penny sitting in your drawer right now could be worth more than your car, or your mortgage, or your last 10 vacations combined? Sounds ridiculous, right? That's exactly what most people thought, until collectors started paying serious money for one very specific coin, the 1968 Lincoln 1 cent. Now before you laugh and say, "It's just a penny," Remember, history's biggest fortunes weren't built by people who ignored small things. They were built by people who paid attention. And today, that tiny copper coin might be trying to get your attention. Let me be honest with you. Every year, millions of rare and valuable coins are accidentally spent at grocery stores, dropped into tip jars, or tossed into junk drawers. Some of them later sell for thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. And yes, a few have crossed into life-changing territory. Imagine realizing you once used a coin worth 5 figures to buy gum. That kind of regret hurts more than stepping on Legos in the dark. And trust me, that's saying something. But today, we're making sure that doesn't happen to you. This is the story of the 1968 Lincoln 1 cent, a coin struck at the San Francisco Mint, and how certain rare errors and high-grade examples have turned ordinary Americans into unexpected winners. Not lottery winners, smarter than that. Coin winners. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot valuable coins, how to sell old rare coins, how to make money from pocket change, and how everyday people have gone from spare change to serious wealth, sometimes millions, just by knowing what to look for. So stay with me, because the next few minutes could literally change how you see money forever. Now, let's rewind to 1968. America was changing fast. The space race was heating up, the economy was shifting, and behind the scenes, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision. They permanently added mint marks back to coins, including pennies. That's why the S on the 1968 penny matters. It tells us this coin was struck in San Francisco, and something even more important happened there that year. Many of those pennies were proof coins, specially struck with mirror-like surfaces for collectors. But here's the twist. Some of them were struck improperly. Some were struck on the wrong metal. Some were double struck. Some had missing or distorted design elements. And a few escaped the mint with errors so rare, collectors still fight over them today. This is where fear comes in. Because what if you already own one and don't know it? Think about that jar in your kitchen, that box in your closet, that inherited collection you've never bothered to look through. There could be a 4-figure or 5-figure coin sitting there right now, aging quietly while inflation eats away at your savings. And this little copper disc is just waiting to be recognized. Now, let's talk about the errors that make the 1968 Lincoln penny truly powerful. One of the most valuable varieties is the double die obverse. That means Lincoln's date, lettering, or motto appears doubled, not from damage, but from a minting mistake during the die creation process. These aren't common. In fact, most collectors will go their entire lives without finding one in the wild. Then there are off-metal strikes, pennies accidentally struck on dime or foreign planchets. Yes, it sounds impossible. No, it absolutely happened. And when it did, collectors paid attention. Big attention. There are also proof coins with missing mint marks, weak strikes, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and dramatic die breaks. And here's the part most people don't realize: a condition matters just as much as rarity. A pristine, deep cameo proof can multiply the value by 10, 20, sometimes more. And now comes the excitement. Because high-grade 1968 proof pennies, especially with strong cameo contrast and error varieties, have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, into 5-figure territory depending on rarity, grade, and demand. That's maximum dollar territory in the coin world, where one small decision can lead to a massive financial surprise. Let me pause and ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny closely? I mean really looked at it. Not just heads or tails, but date, mint mark, condition, detail. Be honest, most of us treat pennies like lint. Useful sometimes, but mostly invisible. And that's exactly why opportunity lives there. Because while the world chases stocks, crypto, and side hustles, a silent market of collectors is paying real money right now for rare and high-quality coins. And the supply isn't increasing. Once a rare coin is lost, damaged, or spent, it's gone forever. That creates urgency. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Every year, valuable coins are destroyed in coin counters, parking meters, vending machines, and banks. Once they're scratched, bent, or circulated heavily, their premium evaporates. That means if you have something rare, time is not your friend. Knowledge is. Now let's shift into something even more powerful, how regular people turn coins into real money. People always ask, how do I sell old rare coins? How do I sell coins safely? How do I make money from coins? How do I go from pocket change to millions? How do I sell old and rare coins in the USA? Where do I find auctions? What's my coin actually worth? Great questions, and most people never get real answers. First, you start with identification. Look at the date, mint mark, condition, and any unusual features. For the 1968 S penny, you want to check if it's a proof coin, mirror-like fields, sharp strike, strong contrast. Then check for doubling, missing details, off-center strikes, or unusual metal color or weight. Second, you verify. Serious money requires serious proof. That means professional grading from trusted services. Why? Because graded coins sell faster for more money and with less risk. A slabbed coin turns a maybe into a marketable asset. Third, you choose the right selling channel. Auction houses, certified coin dealers, online platforms, and collector networks all serve different purposes. Rare coins belong in auctions. Common coins belong in bulk lots. The difference between choosing the right channel and the wrong one can literally be thousands of dollars. Let me ask you something. Would you sell a rare diamond at a garage sale? Of course not. So why would you sell a rare coin without knowing its real value? Here's where urgency kicks in. The coin market is cyclical. Certain coins explode in popularity when demand spikes, registry sets expand, or collector demographics shift. Right now, high-quality proof Lincoln cents and dramatic errors are in demand. That window doesn't stay open forever. Those who act early profit most. Those who wait usually sell cheaper or not at all. And let's talk about emotion, because this isn't just about money. Coins represent history. They represent legacy. Many people inherit collections from parents, grandparents, or loved ones who saved these coins during hard times. Selling them isn't just a transaction. It's transforming yesterday's discipline into today's opportunity. It's honoring the past while building the future. And let's be honest, who doesn't want financial breathing room? Who doesn't want options, security, freedom? The ability to help family, travel, invest, or simply sleep better at night, all from something most people overlook. Let me reset your attention with a serious question. What if your richest asset right now isn't in your bank account, but in your kitchen drawer? Yeah, let that sit for a second. Now back to the 1968 S Lincoln penny. What makes this coin special isn't just its age. It's the intersection of proof production, error varieties, condition rarity, and collector demand. In top grades with deep cameo contrast and known error types, these coins command premium prices, sometimes shockingly high for a 1-cent piece. But here's the danger. Most people assume all 1968 pennies are common. That assumption costs money, because while millions were minted, only a tiny fraction survived in elite condition or with rare errors. That's where maximum dollar territory begins. This is why collectors don't chase coins, they chase stories, scarcity, and perfection. And this coin delivers all three. Let me walk you through what to do starting today. First, go find your pennies. Seriously. Pause this video if you need to. Grab that jar, box, envelope, or inherited stash. Look specifically for 1968 pennies with an S mint mark. Separate them. Second, examine them under good light or magnification. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, missing letters, unusual colors, or mirror-like proof surfaces. Anything that looks off deserves attention. Third, protect them. No cleaning, no rubbing, no polishing. That destroys value faster than a paper shredder destroys tax records, and trust me, neither ends well. Fourth, get opinions from professionals. Reputable coin dealers, grading services, or auction specialists can help determine authenticity and value. And remember, if someone rushes you to sell, walk away. Rare assets deserve thoughtful decisions. Now let's talk about something most people never consider: scaling. Yes, you can make money from one coin, but serious collectors build wealth by consistently buying, selling, and upgrading coins. Some people start with pocket change. Then they flip small finds. Then they reinvest profits. Then they move into higher value coins. And over time, what started as curiosity becomes capital. From pocket change to millions, it's not a fantasy. It's a strategy. And no, you don't need to be rich to start. You need awareness, patience, education, and the courage to act when opportunity shows up disguised as something ordinary like a penny. Let me ask you, how many opportunities have you already held without realizing it? Now here's the emotional truth. The worst feeling isn't missing a winning lottery ticket. It's realizing you already had something valuable and gave it away for nothing. That regret lasts longer than excitement. And today, you're choosing knowledge instead of regret. Good move. Because the 1968 Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a reminder that value often hides in plain sight. That wealth doesn't always come from risk. Sometimes it comes from recognition. And if you're wondering, yes, people are buying these coins right now. Yes, auction prices fluctuate. Yes, condition and rarity determine everything. And yes, some examples reach maximum dollar territory when the right coin meets the right buyer at the right time. That's how markets work. That's how fortunes shift. Before we wrap up, let me answer some of the biggest questions viewers ask. How do I sell old rare coins? Start with identification, then authentication, then choose professional channels, dealers, auction houses, or certified marketplaces. How do I sell coins safely? Never rush, never clean, never ship uninsured, and always verify buyers. How do I make money from coins? Buy smart, sell smarter, focus on condition, rarity, and demand, not hype. How do I go from pocket change to millions? Start small, reinvest profits, build knowledge, and upgrade inventory, just like any serious investor. How do I sell old and rare coins in the USA? Work with reputable dealers, grading services, and national auction houses that specialize in numismatics. How do I know my coin's real value? Market value comes from recent auction results, grade, rarity, and collector demand, not face value or online rumors. Now let me leave you with this. Most people walk past opportunity every day because it looks too small to matter. But history shows us wealth often starts small. It starts with curiosity, with attention, with the willingness to look closer than everyone else. And tonight, somewhere in America, someone will drop a rare coin into a vending machine without knowing what they just lost. But it won't be you. Because now when you see a penny, you won't see 1 cent. You'll see potential. You'll see history. You'll see possibility. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see the beginning of your own wealth story. If you found this valuable, stay connected. Because the next coin we cover might already be in your pocket right now. Welcome back. Let me ask you something that might sound ridiculous at first. What if one of the smallest things in your house, something you've ignored for decades, could be worth more than your last vacation, your car, or even your yearly salary? I'm talking about a single penny. Yes, a 1 cent coin. And not just any penny, the 1973 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent. A coin millions of Americans have touched, spent, and forgotten. Yet a few rare examples have quietly sold for life-changing money. So before you roll your eyes and think, it's just a penny, let me ask you this. When was the last time you actually looked at the coins in your pocket? Because right now, somewhere in the United States, someone is unknowingly holding a coin that collectors would fight over. And what's even scarier, most people spend these coins every day without realizing what they just gave away. That could be you. Or, this could be the moment everything changes. Let me tell you a true story. A few years ago, a retired factory worker in the Midwest was cleaning out an old dresser drawer. Inside was a jar of loose change he'd been tossing coins into for over 30 years. Nothing special, just spare change from gas stations, grocery stores, and vending machines. Out of boredom, he decided to look through them. And that's when he noticed something strange about one penny. The date read 1973, and beneath Lincoln's portrait was a tiny letter D, Denver Mint. But something looked off. The lettering didn't sit right. The surface felt different. The strike wasn't normal. Long story short, that worthless penny ended up selling for thousands of dollars. And that wasn't luck. That was awareness. Today, you're about to learn why the 1973 D Lincoln penny, especially error varieties, has become one of the most exciting modern finds in U.S. coin collecting. You'll discover what errors to look for, how collectors value them, how people turn pocket change into serious money, and most importantly, how you can sell old and rare coins in the USA the right way, safely and profitably. So stay with me, because somewhere in your home right now, your future might already be minted. Act 1. The coin everyone ignored in 1973, the U.S. Mint struck over 2 billion Lincoln pennies. Most of them came from the Denver Mint, marked with the small d under the date. These coins entered circulation quietly, passing through hands during gas shortages, economic uncertainty, and one of the most turbulent decades in American history. Nobody thought twice about them. They were just pennies. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because when everyone ignores something, that's often when opportunity hides. Now let me ask you a question. How many pennies do you have in your house right now? In jars, drawers, cars, piggy banks, or old wallets? And here's the real question. Have you ever actually looked at them closely? Most people haven't. And that's exactly why valuable coins continue to slip through fingers every single day. Here's where things get interesting. While most 1973 D pennies are worth just 1 cent in average condition, a tiny number were struck with minting errors, mistakes made during production that turned ordinary coins into collector treasures. And some of those errors are so rare, collectors are willing to pay huge money to own them. This is where fear kicks in, because if you've ever spent a penny without checking it, you might have already lost a valuable one. But this is also where excitement begins, because if you still have old change lying around, your story isn't over yet. And yes, before you ask, people really do make serious money from coins. Not overnight lottery money, but real, legitimate wealth from things they already owned and never noticed. So what makes the 1973 D penny special? Act 2. The hidden errors that create big money. Let's talk about errors. Because in the coin world, mistakes are often worth more than perfection. The most valuable 1973 D Lincoln pennies are those with dramatic minting errors. And here's the shocking part. Many of these errors are so subtle that the average person never notices them. But once you know what to look for, your eyes will never see pennies the same way again. First, there are double die errors. This happens when the coin die strikes the design more than once, slightly misaligned. On rare 1973 D pennies, collectors look for doubling in the date, the word liberty, and especially in God we trust. Under magnification, the letters appear shadowed or duplicated. And when verified, these coins can sell for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars depending on condition. Now here's a funny truth. Most people think doubling just means the coin looks blurry. No, that's damage. A real double die looks sharp, clean, and deliberate, like the coin tried to print itself twice and forgot where it started. It's basically a mint hiccup, and collectors love hiccups. Then there are off-center strikes, coins that weren't properly aligned during minting. Some 1973 D pennies were struck with part of the design missing and blank metal showing on one side. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. Some have sold for hundreds, even thousands. Next, there are clipped planchets, coins missing a curved section of metal because the blank sheet wasn't cut properly before striking. These look like someone took a bite out of your penny. And no, that bite didn't come from a mouse. Although if it did, that mouse had very expensive taste. There are also broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, rotated dies, and die cracks, all minting mistakes that can transform a 1-cent coin into a collector prize. Now let me ask you something important. What if you already have one of these and don't know it? What if the coin sitting in your drawer right now could help pay off debt, fund a vacation, or jumpstart a business? And here's where urgency comes in, because coins get lost, spent, damaged, or thrown away every single day. The longer you wait, the greater the chance your opportunity disappears forever. But there's more. Condition matters too. Even normal 1973 D pennies in uncirculated or high-grade condition can sell for significantly more than face value. Some top-grade examples certified by professional grading services have sold for hundreds of dollars, not because of errors, but because of rarity and condition. That's the secret most people don't realize. It's not just what coin you have, it's how good it looks. So now you're probably thinking, how do I know if my coin is valuable? How do I sell old rare coins safely? How do people actually make money from coins? How do you go from pocket change to serious profit? Where do you sell old and rare coins in the USA? What's the real value of coins in auction shops? And how do you avoid getting ripped off? Perfect, because that's exactly where we're going next. Act 3. From pocket change to powerful wealth, let's get practical. If you want to make money from coins, real money, the first step is education. You don't need to be an expert, but you need to know enough to recognize potential value. Start by checking every 1973 D penny you find under good lighting and magnification. Look at the date. Look at the lettering. Look at the rims. Look for anything that feels off. If your gut says something looks strange, trust it. Collectors call that the weird factor, and weird coins often mean valuable coins. Second, never clean your coins. Ever. Cleaning destroys collector value faster than almost anything else. A rare error coin cleaned with metal polish can lose thousands of dollars instantly. Yes, cleaning a penny can literally erase money. That's probably the only time in life where cleaning costs more than dirt. Third, get your coin evaluated. You can take it to a reputable local coin shop, send photos to online coin forums, or submit it to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These services authenticate and grade coins, which dramatically increases buyer confidence and often selling price. Now let's talk about how to sell old rare coins in the USA. You have several powerful options. You can sell to local coin shops for quick cash, though they typically offer wholesale prices. You can sell on online marketplaces like eBay, but that requires photography, shipping, buyer communication, and some risk. You can consign your coin to major auction houses, where serious collectors compete and prices can skyrocket, especially for rare errors and high-grade coins. And yes, people really do sell coins at auction for life-changing money. So when someone asks, how do I sell old rare coins? The real answer is carefully, strategically, and with knowledge. When someone asks how to make money from coins, the answer is by knowing what you have before you sell it. When someone asks, how do people go from pocket change to millions? The truth is, not overnight, not by luck, but by paying attention to what everyone else ignores. Let me ask you something. How many times have you dumped change into a vending machine without checking it? How many times have you handed pennies to a cashier without looking at the date? How many times have you said, it's just a penny, and moved on? Because collectors know something most people don't: rarity doesn't always look rare. Sometimes it looks ordinary. Sometimes it looks boring. Sometimes it looks like the exact coin you almost spent 5 minutes ago. And here's the emotional truth. The biggest regret in coin collecting isn't missing out on buying a rare coin. It's realizing later that you already had one and gave it away. That's the fear. But here's the excitement: you're not too late. If you have old jars of coins, inherited collections, piggy banks, desk drawers, or forgotten wallets, your opportunity is still alive. The 1973 D penny alone has produced error coins worth hundreds and thousands of dollars, and collectors continue searching for new discoveries every year. That means there are still valuable coins out there, possibly in your home, possibly in your pocket, possibly in your change tray right now. And that leads us to the most important question of all. What if this is the video that changes how you see money forever? Because once you realize wealth doesn't always come from earning more, sometimes it comes from noticing more, everything shifts. Suddenly, spare change isn't spare anymore. Suddenly, that dusty jar becomes a treasure chest. Suddenly, your past purchases might be funding your future. And here's the best part. You don't need permission, connections, or capital to start. You just need curiosity, patience, and the willingness to look twice at things everyone else ignores. So tonight, after this video ends, I challenge you, go check your coins. Look at every 1973 penny. Look for that small D, look for doubling. Look for off-center strikes. Look for anything unusual. And if you find something strange, don't dismiss it, investigate it. Because somewhere in America, right now, someone is discovering a coin worth more than they ever imagined. And there's no reason that someone can't be you. So let me leave you with this. What if your financial breakthrough isn't in the future, but in your past? What if it's sitting in a drawer you haven't opened in years? What if it weighs 1 gram, fits in your palm, and says 1 cent on the back, but means freedom on the front? Welcome to the world of hidden money. And remember, fortune doesn't always favor the bold. Sometimes it favors the curious. Welcome back. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, 1 cent, hiding in an old jar, dresser drawer, or glove compartment could be worth more than your last vacation? Maybe more than your car, maybe more than your annual salary. Sounds impossible, right? Good. Because the biggest opportunities usually do. And today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood, most overlooked, and potentially most profitable modern coins in American history. The 1975 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin that millions of Americans have owned, but almost no one has properly checked. And that mistake, it's costing people real money. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies instead of tossing them into a cup and forgetting about them? Be honest. Most people treat pennies like dust, annoying, noisy, and worthless. But history has a funny way of hiding treasure inside the things people ignore. And today's story proves that sometimes wealth doesn't arrive in a briefcase. It arrives in pocket change. Now before we go further, quick reality check. Not every 1975 D penny is valuable, but some rare error versions, the kind created by mint mistakes, have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in exceptional cases, life-changing money. And the scary part, most people spend these coins without ever knowing what they had. Imagine buying coffee with a coin worth your mortgage payment. That's not unlucky. That's uneducated. And today, that ends. Let's rewind for a moment. In 1975, the Denver Mint was running at full speed. Millions of pennies rolled off the presses every single day. Machines were hot, dies were worn, pressure was inconsistent. And when systems move that fast, mistakes happen. Those mistakes, known as mint errors, are where ordinary coins turn into extraordinary assets. This is where our story begins. A collector in the Midwest once purchased a small box of mixed pennies at a flea market for less than $20. He wasn't wealthy, he wasn't famous, he wasn't a professional numismatist, he was just curious. While sorting through them at his kitchen table, he noticed one 1975 D penny looked wrong. The lettering wasn't crisp. The date seemed doubled. Lincoln's profile looked thicker than normal. Most people would have shrugged and tossed it back into the pile. But he didn't. He trusted his instinct. That coin later turned out to be a double die error, one of the most desirable modern penny mistakes, and it sold at auction for thousands of dollars. Let that sink in. He turned pocket change into serious money because he paused long enough to look. Now here's where fear kicks in, the productive kind. Because statistically speaking, If you or someone in your family has saved coins from the 1970s, there is a real chance you've handled one of these rare pennies and never knew it. That's not hype, that's math. Tens of millions were minted. Errors happen in tiny percentages. But when millions exist, even tiny percentages create real winners. So the real question isn't, are valuable pennies out there? The real question is, did one already pass through your hands? Let's talk about what makes the 1975 D penny special when it comes to errors. One of the most valuable varieties is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin die strikes slightly misaligned during production, causing parts of the design, especially the date and lettering, to appear doubled. On some examples, the doubling is bold enough to see with the naked eye. On others, a magnifying glass reveals it. Either way, collectors pay serious money for confirmed examples. Another high-value error is the off-center strike, where the design isn't properly centered on the coin blank. The more dramatic the shift, the higher the value. Some off-center 1975 D pennies have sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on condition. Then there are clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank is missing before the strike, creating a curved or straight-edge cut in the coin. These look broken. They look wrong, and collectors love them. And don't forget wrong planchet strikes. Pennies accidentally struck on metal intended for other coins. These are extremely rare and command premium prices when authenticated. Now let me interrupt this for just 1 second with something important. If you're thinking, well, I probably don't have one of those, congratulations. You sound exactly like every person who sold one cheaply before finding out its true value. That mindset is the most expensive habit in collecting, and it's the reason fortunes are lost quietly. Here's a funny truth. People will spend 20 minutes choosing a pizza topping but 0 seconds checking a coin that could change their finances. Priorities, right? Now let's shift into the heart of this story, because this isn't really about pennies. It's about awareness. It's about opportunity. It's about recognizing value where others see nothing. This is where Act 2 begins. Imagine this scenario. You're cleaning out a drawer. You find an old coffee tin filled with pennies from decades ago. Most people dump them into Coinstar and walk away with a receipt for groceries. But what if, just what if, that tin contains one coin that could pay your rent for months, or your car note, or your next vacation, or your kids' college books? That's not fantasy. That's exactly how rare coins change lives, quietly, unexpectedly, and permanently. So how do you know if your 1975 D penny is worth big money? First, look at the date and mint mark. You want to see 1975 with a small d under the date, which means it was minted in Denver. Then examine the lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust. Do any of the letters look doubled, thickened, or shadowed? Look closely at the date, especially the numbers 1, 9, and 7. Doubling here is a major signal. Next, inspect Lincoln's profile. Does it look unusually thick or distorted? Does the coin seem off-center? Is part of the rim missing? These aren't flaws, they're features. And collectors pay for features. Now here's where excitement kicks in. Because once you spot something unusual, you're no longer holding a penny. You're holding a potential asset. And yes, real examples of 1975 D era pennies have sold for hundreds and thousands of dollars depending on rarity, visibility of the error, and condition. In high-grade, professionally authenticated cases, prices can climb dramatically. And while million-dollar pennies are rare and exceptional, life-changing money from modern coins is absolutely real. Now let's hit one of the biggest viewer questions. How do you sell old rare coins? The first rule is this: never clean your coins. Cleaning destroys value faster than anything else. A cleaned rare coin can lose 50 to 90% of its worth instantly. If you've already cleaned one, don't panic, but don't do it again. Second, get your coin authenticated. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify coins and assign them grades that buyers trust. A graded coin often sells for dramatically more than an ungraded one because it removes doubt from the transaction. Third, choose the right marketplace. High-value coins should not be sold at pawn shops or random local buyers. The best places to sell rare coins include major auction houses, reputable coin dealers, and established online platforms that specialize in collectibles. Which leads to another big question. How do you sell coins and make real money from them? You treat them like assets, not spare change. That means learning what you have, understanding demand, timing the market, and choosing buyers who compete, not negotiate downward. Auctions create competition. Competition creates price discovery, and price discovery creates maximum dollar outcomes. Let me ask you something. Would you sell your house to the first stranger who knocks on your door? Of course not. So why sell a rare coin that way? Now another viewer question. How do you make money from coins from pocket change to millions? It starts with awareness, then education, then patience. Most people fail at coin collecting not because they don't have rare coins, but because they don't know what rare looks like. The winners are the ones who slow down, look closely, learn patterns, and act strategically. Let's talk about fear for a moment, the good kind again. The scariest part about rare coins isn't that they're hard to find. The scariest part is that people spend them every day. Thousands of valuable coins vanish into vending machines, gas stations, and grocery store cash drawers every year because no one looked closely enough. The cost of ignorance in this market is real money. And once that coin leaves your hand, it's gone forever. But here's the flip side: excitement. Because every coin you touch from now on is a lottery ticket with skill involved. Not random luck, educated probability. The more you know, the better your odds. Now let's reset attention for a second with a quick thought. If pennies were truly worthless, the US Mint wouldn't still be making them, and collectors wouldn't be paying four figures for mistakes. So maybe, just maybe, the penny isn't the problem. The problem is how people see it. Okay, back to the story. Let's say you find a 1975 penny that looks suspicious. What's your next move? First, isolate it. Put it in a coin flip or soft holder. Don't rub it. Don't polish it. Don't test it with chemicals, just protect it. Second, photograph it clearly front and back under good lighting. Then compare it with verified examples online from reputable auction sites and grading companies. Third, if it looks promising, submit it for professional grading. Yes, there's a cost, but that cost is tiny compared to the potential upside if your coin turns out to be genuine and rare. Now let's answer another big viewer question. How do you sell old and rare coins in the USA and get maximum value at auction shops? You choose auction houses with strong numismatic reputations and active buyer networks. You want your coin seen by serious collectors, not casual resellers. Reputable auctions create bidding wars. Bidding wars create top-dollar results. Timing matters too. Selling during strong market cycles or high collector interest periods can significantly increase your final price. And always, negotiate consignment fees and understand seller commissions before listing. Now let me connect all of this into the emotional core of this story. Most people spend their lives searching for financial breakthroughs, promotions, side hustles, investments, businesses, and overlook the assets already sitting in their homes. Old coins aren't just collectibles. They're frozen history with price tags attached. And sometimes, one small decision, like looking closely at a penny, creates a ripple effect that changes everything. Think about it. What if your next vacation is in your change jar? What if your next emergency fund is in your desk drawer? What if your next financial breakthrough is already in your house, and you just haven't recognized it yet? Now let's bring urgency into this. Every year, rare coins disappear into circulation forever. Every year, collections are inherited and dumped into banks without being checked. Every year, people sell valuable coins for face value because they didn't know better. But today, you know better. And that knowledge alone puts you ahead of 99% of people handling coins. Let me ask you directly. When was the last time you checked your change instead of ignoring it? When was the last time you looked at a penny like an opportunity instead of an inconvenience? And what if, just what if, your 1975 penny isn't just copper and zinc, but leverage? Now let's talk briefly about real-world market value. A standard 1975 penny in circulated condition is usually worth face value. But error coins, especially strong double dies, major off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and wrong planchet errors, can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on condition and rarity. High-grade, professionally certified examples command premium prices, and exceptional specimens can break into serious four-figure territory. And while not every coin becomes a headline sale, every rare coin represents a financial opportunity most people never see coming. Now here's another attention reset and a little humor. You know what's wild? People will Google how to get rich, but won't Google is this penny rare. One takes years. The other takes 10 seconds, just saying. Now let's enter Act 3, the transformation. At this point, the story shifts from curiosity to action. You're no longer someone who ignores pennies. You're someone who inspects them. You're no longer guessing. You're learning. You're no longer hoping. You're positioning. And that's how real financial change begins, not with luck, but with awareness and decision-making. So here's your simple action plan. First, go through your coins, especially any pennies from the 1970s. Pay special attention to 1975 with a D mint mark. Second, look for doubling, off-center strikes, clipped edges, and anything that looks unusual or wrong. Third, protect promising coins and compare them with verified examples. Fourth, submit serious candidates for professional grading. Fifth, sell through reputable dealers or auction houses to maximize value. Now let's answer the biggest emotional question of all. Can coins really change your life? Not by themselves, but awareness can, education can, action can. Coins are just the vehicle, you're the driver. And the difference between someone who spends a valuable penny and someone who profits from it isn't intelligence, it's attention. Before we close, let me leave you with this. Every wealthy collector started as someone who didn't know what they were holding. The only difference is they stopped ignoring small things. They started looking closer. They asked better questions. And eventually, small discoveries led to big outcomes. So here's your challenge. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight go check your change jar. Look at your old penny rolls. Check your inherited coins, especially anything from 1975 with a D mint mark. Because the next story of someone turning pocket change into serious money doesn't have to be someone else's story. It can be yours. And remember, wealth doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers from the bottom of a drawer. So tell me this. How many pennies have you already touched today? And how many of them did you actually look at? Because the next one might not just be copper. It might be opportunity. Welcome back. Imagine this for a moment. You reach into your pocket, pull out a penny you've ignored for decades, and discover it could be worth thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe more. Sounds impossible, right? But stay with me, because today we're uncovering one of the most overlooked coins in American history, the 1984 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so common on the surface, yet hiding errors that have turned ordinary people into serious collectors overnight. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Millions of Americans may have already spent one of these without ever knowing it. What if one is sitting in your drawer right now? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny before tossing it aside? Yesterday? Last week? Never. Don't worry, you're not alone. Most people treat pennies like clutter. But what if that tiny copper coin you've ignored your whole life is secretly a financial opportunity in disguise? That's what today's story is about. How everyday Americans have turned pocket change into life-changing money, and how you might be holding the same chance without realizing it. This story begins in 1984, a year remembered for big hair, cassette tapes, and the rise of personal computers. But quietly, inside U.S. Mint facilities, something else was happening. Millions of Lincoln cents were struck, and many of them came out flawed. Not damaged, not worn, but flawed at the moment of creation. And in the world of rare coins, mistakes aren't mistakes, they're miracles. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most 1984 pennies don't have a mint mark because they were struck in Philadelphia. And normally, that wouldn't mean much. But among these ordinary-looking coins, a tiny percentage left the mint with dramatic errors, especially one famous variety that has stunned collectors for decades, the 1984 double-die obverse. And if that phrase sounds complicated, don't worry, here's what it means in simple terms. The coin was struck with a misaligned die that caused doubling in Lincoln's ear, eye, and sometimes the lettering. Instead of one clean image, you see two overlapping impressions. And unlike damage after the fact, this doubling happened during minting, which makes it authentic, rare, and incredibly valuable. Let me ask you, have you ever looked closely at Lincoln's ear on a penny? No. Congratulations, you're officially normal. But collectors do, and when they found this error in 1984 pennies, prices exploded. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds of dollars, others for thousands. And pristine examples, professionally graded, have reached eye-watering prices that most people would never associate with a single cent. Imagine paying your utility bill with a penny. Sounds ridiculous until it happens. And here's the part that should stop you cold: these coins were never recalled. They were never announced. They were never removed from circulation. They passed through grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, and piggy banks for decades. That means the coin that could change your financial future might already be in your home, right now. Think about that for a second. How many jars of coins do you have sitting around? How many drawers haven't been opened in years? How many old purses, wallets, or inherited collections have never been checked? What if your future is hiding in plain sight, disguised as spare change? Now, before your brain says, "Yeah, right, that only happens to other people," let me reset your attention with something honest and slightly funny. If pennies were actually worthless, the U.S. Mint wouldn't still be making them. Yet here we are, still debating whether they're annoying or essential, while collectors quietly turn them into cash. Irony level, historic. But let's get serious for a moment, because this isn't just about coins. This is about opportunity, about awareness, about knowing where value hides while others ignore it. And the 1984 no mint mark penny is a perfect example. Collectors discovered that certain versions showed dramatic doubling on Lincoln's ear, jawline, and sometimes the date. These weren't subtle. Under magnification, the doubling practically jumps off the coin. And unlike most doubled coins that require microscopes and expert eyes, many of these can be spotted with a simple magnifying glass. So let me ask you, what if you already own one of the most famous error pennies of the modern era, and you just don't know it yet? Now here's where excitement meets urgency, because these coins are not being discovered forever. Every year more are pulled from circulation and locked into private collections. That means fewer opportunities, less supply, higher demand. And in collectibles, that equation only moves one direction up. But wait, there's more. The 1984 penny isn't valuable just because of the doubled ear. Other error types from this year include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, and weak strikes, all of which can significantly increase value depending on condition and rarity. And here's the part most people don't understand: condition matters. A circulated error coin might be worth $50, $100, maybe $300. But a high-grade example, that's where serious money starts talking. Graded coins in top condition have reached thousands of dollars at auction, and sometimes more, depending on demand and eye appeal. Now let me pause and ask something important. How do you know if your coin is valuable? How do you sell old rare coins? How do you sell coins safely? How do you make money from coins? How do you go from pocket change to potentially life-changing value? And where do you even sell old and rare coins in the USA? Great questions, and stay with me, because we're about to answer all of them. But first, let me tell you a short story. A retired school teacher in the Midwest found a strange-looking penny in her kitchen drawer, just one coin mixed in with dozens of others. She almost threw it away, but something looked odd about Lincoln's face. She showed it to a local dealer who sent it for grading. The result? A confirmed 1984 double-die penny, final auction price. Enough to pay several months of bills from a coin she had carried around in her purse for years. And she's not alone. Stories like this happen quietly every year. No headlines, no viral videos, just ordinary people discovering extraordinary value in the most ordinary objects imaginable. Now let's shift into the heart of this story, because this is where you move from curiosity to possibility. How do you check your 1984 penny? First, look for the date 1984 and no mint mark under the date. Then, use a magnifying glass and examine Lincoln's ear, eye, and jawline. If you see doubling, real doubling, not blurry damage, that's your first major sign. Next, inspect the lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust. If letters appear doubled, split, or shadowed, you may be holding something special. And here's a quick reality check. Most pennies won't be valuable, but the few that are can change everything. This is a numbers game, and the only way to lose is not to look. Now let me ask you directly, how many coins are sitting in your home right now? 10, 100, 1,000. What if one of them is quietly waiting to be discovered? Let's talk about selling, because this is where fear usually steps in. People ask, how do I sell old rare coins safely? How do I know I'm not getting scammed? Where can I sell rare coins in the USA? Should I go to a pawn shop, a coin shop, or online? Should I use eBay, auction houses, or dealers? How do I get the maximum dollar value for my coin? Here's the truth: knowledge protects money. The smartest path starts with authentication. If you believe you found a valuable error penny, your first step is to have it examined by a reputable local coin dealer, or submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Graded coins sell for significantly more because buyers trust certified condition and authenticity. Next comes selling strategy. Local coin shops offer fast cash but sometimes lower prices. Online platforms like eBay give you control but require experience. Major auction houses deliver top-dollar results for high-grade coins. Coin shows connect you directly with collectors who pay premiums for the right piece. So ask yourself, do you want quick money or maximum money? Because there's a difference. And here's something most people never realize: collectors don't buy coins. They buy stories. They buy rarity. They buy opportunity. And error coins like the 1984 double-die penny combine all three. Now let's talk mindset, because this journey isn't just about coins. It's about how wealth is built. Quietly, unexpectedly, from overlooked places, from knowledge others ignore. Think about it: some people invest in stocks, some in real estate, some in businesses, but others build wealth through collectibles, coins, stamps, art, antiques, objects most people walk past every day. And coins are one of the few investments you can literally find on the ground. That's not an exaggeration. Pennies fall out of pockets. They sit in jars. They hide in drawers. They get inherited and forgotten. And sometimes they change lives. Let me interrupt for a moment. Quick honesty check. If someone told you a penny could be worth thousands, would you believe them? Or would you laugh and scroll past? Most people laugh. That's why most people miss opportunities. But you're still here. That already puts you ahead. Now let's bring this back to the 1984 penny, because this coin represents something bigger than copper and zinc. It represents hidden value. It represents awareness. It represents the idea that wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from looking closer. So here's your action plan. Step 1, gather your pennies, all of them. Step 2, check dates from 1982 through 1990 carefully. Step 3, look closely at 1984 no mint mark pennies for doubling and unusual features. Step 4. Separate anything that looks strange, doubled, off-center, or different. Step 5. Have those coins examined by a professional. Step 6. Choose the smartest selling strategy for maximum return. Now let me ask, how many people do you know who have never looked at their coins? Probably most. Which means most people never discover what they already own. And here's where urgency comes in. Collectors are finding these coins every year. That means supply is shrinking. That means competition is rising. And that means the best time to look is not someday, it's today. Because tomorrow, someone else might find the coin that was meant for you. Let me ask some direct questions, and if even one of these hits home, you already know what to do. Have you ever wondered how to sell old rare coins safely? Have you ever wanted to know how to make money from coins without starting a business? Have you ever dreamed of turning something small into something meaningful? Have you ever imagined going from pocket change to financial opportunity? Have you ever asked how to sell old and rare coins in the USA for maximum value? Have you ever wondered what your old coins are actually worth at auction? Because all of that starts with one decision: to look. And before you think this is only for experts, let me say this: you don't need to be a collector. You don't need years of experience. You don't need expensive tools. You just need curiosity and 10 minutes. 10 minutes to check your coins. 10 minutes to educate yourself. 10 minutes that could unlock something bigger. Now here's the part most people ignore: fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of embarrassment, fear of wasting time, fear of getting excited over nothing. But here's the truth: the only real loss is never checking. Because best case scenario, you find something valuable. Worst case scenario, you gain knowledge. Both are wins. Let's bring this story home. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most famous modern-era coins in U.S. history. It proves that valuable things don't always look valuable. It proves that mistakes can become treasures. And it proves that opportunity often hides inside the ordinary. Right now, somewhere in America, someone is holding a coin worth far more than they realize. And statistically speaking, it could be you. So tonight, before you scroll again, before you toss another penny aside, before you assume nothing special ever happens, check your coins. Because sometimes wealth doesn't arrive in a briefcase. Sometimes it arrives in a pocket. And here's the final question: if a single penny could be worth thousands, what's stopping you from finding yours? Welcome back to the mindset of discovery. Welcome back to possibility. Welcome back to opportunity. And remember, fortunes aren't always found, sometimes they're noticed. Welcome back. What if I told you the penny sitting in your drawer right now could be worth more than your car, your mortgage payment, or even a full year's salary? Sounds crazy, right? But stay with me, because today we're uncovering the shocking truth about the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin millions of Americans have handled. Yet only a tiny fraction realize could be worth serious money. And here's the scary part: thousands of people unknowingly spend these valuable pennies every single day. Yes, someone somewhere just bought a coffee with a coin that could have paid their rent. Don't let that be you. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your spare change? Not dumped it in a jar, not tossed it in your car console, but really looked at it. Because sometimes, life-changing wealth doesn't come from Wall Street, it comes from your pocket. And today's story proves exactly that. Now before you think, come on, it's just a penny, let me say this: some of the most valuable coins in U.S. history started as ordinary pocket change. And the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most misunderstood, underestimated, and overlooked coins in modern American history. That's exactly why collectors are quietly paying big money for the right examples today. And don't worry, you don't need to be a coin expert. You don't need a vault. You don't need a museum collection. All you need is awareness. Because awareness turns pennies into power. Let's rewind for a moment. It's 1987. The United States Mint is producing billions of Lincoln cents. The Philadelphia Mint, which doesn't use a mint mark, is pumping out massive quantities of pennies meant for everyday use. Nobody at the time imagined any of them would become valuable. These were throwaway coins, change jar coins, couch cushion coins, gas station tray coins, but here's where the story takes a turn. During mass production, something went wrong. And when something goes wrong at the mint, collectors pay attention. Some 1987 no-mint mark pennies escaped into circulation with rare and dramatic mint errors, off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, wrong metal compositions, and even weak strikes that created ghost-like images on Lincoln's portrait. And while most people never notice these mistakes, collectors hunt them relentlessly, because errors mean rarity and rarity means money. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever seen a penny where Lincoln's face looks blurry, doubled, stretched, or off to the side? Did you throw it away? Because if you did, that coin might have been worth hundreds, thousands, or in rare auction cases, tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, for a penny. Now here's the emotional part. Every year, Americans unknowingly spend millions of dollars in rare coins, not because they're careless, but because they simply don't know what to look for. And knowledge is expensive when you don't have it, but incredibly profitable when you do. And that's exactly what you're gaining today. So let's talk about why the 1987 no-mint mark penny matters so much. First, the no-mint mark tells us it was struck in Philadelphia, the largest mint in the U.S. But here's the twist. Because production was so massive, quality control errors slipped through more often than people realize. That means the chances of finding an error coin in your own pocket change are higher than with many older dates. Translation: you don't need to inherit a rare coin collection to strike gold. You just need curiosity and patience. Let me throw in a quick reality check and a little humor, because someone out there right now is thinking, great, I've been throwing pennies in parking meters for 30 years. Congratulations. You might have donated a college tuition to the asphalt gods. But today, that ends. Now let's talk about value, because that's what you really came for. A normal 1987 no-mint mark penny in circulated condition is usually worth just 1 cent. But that's not the coin we're talking about today. We're talking about the rare error varieties and high-grade mint state examples, especially those graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services. These coins can sell for hundreds of dollars. Error coins with dramatic doubling, off-metal strikes, or major misalignments have sold at auction for thousands. And certain unique mint errors, especially those confirmed and slabbed, have reached 5-figure prices. Yes, 5 figures. Let me pause here and ask you something important. What would it mean for your life if something in your junk drawer suddenly paid your credit cards, your car, your rent, or funded a vacation you've been postponing for years? This isn't fantasy. This happens every year at coin auctions across America. And that brings us to the real story, not the coin but the people. People just like you. Retirees who cleaned out desk drawers. Parents sorting through old piggy banks. Grandchildren inheriting forgotten coin jars. Everyday Americans who went from "it's just a penny" to "I just sold this for more than my monthly paycheck." From pocket change to thousands. From couch cushions to college funds. From forgotten jars to financial breathing room. And here's the most powerful part: most of these people weren't collectors. They were regular people who asked one simple question: could this be worth something? So let me ask you, could your pennies be worth something? Now let's zoom in on the specific errors collectors hunt on the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. One of the most valuable is the double die error, where the design appears doubled, especially in Lincoln's face, the date, or the word liberty. This happens when the die shifts during the minting process, creating a second impression. These coins can sell for hundreds or thousands depending on strength and condition. Then there are off-center strikes, where part of the coin's design is missing because the blank wasn't aligned properly. If the date is still visible, collectors love these and prices skyrocket. Clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank was cut incorrectly, can sell for serious money too. And wrong metal errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong type of blank, are among the rarest and most valuable of all. Let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a penny that looked weird, smaller than normal, off-center, faded, warped? Did you toss it back into circulation? Because collectors don't look for perfection, they look for mistakes. And mistakes make millionaires in this hobby. Now here's where urgency comes in. Coins are being pulled from circulation every year. Pennies are being melted, lost, damaged, or destroyed. That means the supply of high-quality error coins keeps shrinking while collector demand keeps rising, which means prices don't go down, they go up. And the longer you wait, the more likely someone else finds the treasure you already have. So let's answer the questions running through your mind right now. How do you sell old rare coins? How do you sell coins safely? How do you make money from coins? How do you turn pocket change into thousands or even millions? How do you sell old and rare coins in the USA and get maximum auction value? Let's walk through it. First, never clean your coins. Cleaning destroys value. A $5,000 coin can become a $5 coin in seconds. If you're holding something unusual, leave it exactly as you found it. Second, sort your pennies by date. Look closely at anything from the 1980s, especially 1987 no mint mark. Use a magnifying glass or phone camera zoom. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, cracks, missing letters, uneven rims, or strange textures. Third, weigh the coin. A normal 1987 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, it could be struck on the wrong metal, and that's jackpot territory. Fourth, get professional authentication. Reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC certify coins and assign grades. Once a coin is graded and slabbed, its market value becomes much stronger and easier to sell. Now, how do you sell old rare coins? Option 1. Coin shops. Local coin dealers can give you quick offers, but remember, dealers buy low to sell high, so don't expect top dollar unless you've already had your coin graded. Option 2. Online marketplaces like eBay, but only after authentication. Raw coins without certification often sell for less and attract scammers. Option 3, and this is where serious money happens, major auction houses. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers and Great Collections specialize in rare coins. This is where collectors compete, and competition drives prices up. That's how pocket change turns into paydays. And let me ask you this, what feels better? Spending a penny on gum or selling it for rent money? Now let's talk psychology, because wealth isn't just about money, it's about awareness. Most people walk past opportunity because it doesn't look like opportunity. It looks like loose change. It looks ordinary. It looks boring. But history proves the biggest wins often come disguised as small things. And that's exactly what this 1987 penny represents. Not guaranteed wealth, not lottery tickets, not hype, but possibility. Possibility hidden in plain sight. And here's something nobody tells you. The rare coin market is one of the most stable collectible markets in history. Unlike stocks, crypto, or real estate, rare coins don't crash overnight. They move slowly, steadily, and upward over time. And high-quality error coins, those are the blue-chip assets of numismatics. So while some people gamble for wealth, others search their change. Now let's reset your attention for a second. Quick question. If I told you there was a $5,000 bill taped under your kitchen table, would you crawl under there and check? Of course you would. So why wouldn't you check your coin jar, your drawer, your glove box, your old piggy banks, your inherited collections? Because one of them could contain something even more valuable. Let's bring this story home. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, sorting coins one evening, not because you're desperate, but because you're curious. Then suddenly you notice something strange. A doubling, a missing letter, a shifted image. You Google it. Your heart starts racing. You weigh it. The numbers don't match. You send it in. Weeks later it comes back certified. And suddenly, the coin you almost ignored is now worth thousands. That's not fiction. That's reality repeated thousands of times across the country. And the people who win aren't the luckiest. They're the ones who looked. So let me ask you, are you looking? Because right now, somewhere in America, someone just found a coin worth more than their paycheck, simply because they paused long enough to care. And you can be next. Before we close, let's answer the biggest questions people ask. How do I sell old rare coins? By getting them authenticated, then selling through reputable dealers, online platforms, or auction houses. How do I sell coins safely? By avoiding private deals, never mailing coins uninsured, and using trusted grading and auction services. How do I make money from coins? By learning what to look for, protecting condition, verifying authenticity, and selling to competitive buyers. How do I turn pocket change into millions? By understanding that wealth often begins with awareness, and that rare coins compound in value over time, especially unique era coins. How do I sell old and rare coins in the USA for maximum value? By grading them professionally and selling through national auction houses where collectors compete instead of negotiate. And now, the most important question of all. What if the most valuable thing you own is something you've already overlooked? Because wealth doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it jingles. So tonight, when you walk past your coin jar, don't ignore it. Pick it up, sort it, study it, because your future might be sitting inside a penny dated 1987 with no mint mark, and a mistake that changed everything. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next coin we cover could be sitting in your pocket right now. And remember, fortunes aren't always found. Sometimes they're noticed. Welcome back. Let me ask you something that might change the way you look at your pocket change forever. What if the penny sitting in your jar right now, the one you've ignored for years, could actually be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? Sounds ridiculous, right? A penny, worth big money. Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the shocking truth about the 2007 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, the hidden errors collectors are desperately searching for, and how ordinary Americans have turned loose change into life-changing wealth. And yes, I'll show you how to sell old rare coins, where to sell coins in the USA, how auctions work, and how people go from pocket change to millions, all before this video ends. Now, quick question. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny instead of tossing it into a drawer? Be honest. If you're like most people, probably never. And that's exactly why some people are unknowingly throwing away small fortunes. This story starts in 2007, when the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies at the Denver Mint, marked with a tiny D under the date. Most of them are only worth face value, but hidden among them are rare minting mistakes that collectors pay shocking amounts of money to own. We're talking doubled letters, off-center strikes, missing details, wrong metal compositions, and dramatic die cracks. Errors so rare that when they surface, bidding wars can explode overnight. Here's the scary part. Many of these coins were spent at grocery stores, dropped into tip jars, or tossed into kids' piggy banks. Which means someone right now is probably holding a valuable coin and doesn't even know it. And if you're not checking your coins, that someone might not be you. Let me ask you another question. What would it feel like to discover that a penny you found in your couch cushions could pay off a credit card, cover a vacation, or fund something meaningful for your family? Exciting, right? Now here's the painful flip side. What if you already spent one and never knew it? That's why today matters. The 2007 D Lincoln penny is especially famous for certain errors. Some examples show strong doubled dies, where Lincoln's date, letters, or motto appear doubled, not from damage, but from the die itself during minting. These can sell from hundreds to several $1,000s depending on strength and condition. Other examples show off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, but the date is still visible. Those can sell for big money at auction. Some have dramatic die breaks across Lincoln's face or the reverse, and collectors love bold, visible errors. And in extremely rare cases, transitional planchet errors, meaning the coin was struck on the wrong metal, can sell for 5 figures or more. Now let me pause you right here, quick reality check. If you're thinking, yeah, but mine probably isn't special, congratulations. That's exactly what everyone who missed out said too. And I'm not trying to scare you, okay, maybe just a little. Because fear wakes us up. And missing a rare coin is way more painful than taking 2 minutes to check your change. Here's the exciting part. The highest quality 2007 pennies, even without errors, can sell for premium prices in certified condition. But error examples, that's where the serious money lives. Some confirmed sales have reached hundreds, thousands, and in rare extreme cases, 5 figures when competition heats up between collectors who need that exact variety for their registry sets. Now imagine this scenario. You walk into your kitchen, you grab that old jar of pennies, you dump them on the table, and suddenly one of them looks different, something feels off. A doubling, a missing detail, a strange line across the coin, and your heart rate jumps. Because what if, just what if, this is one of the rare ones? That moment, that's where ordinary people become collectors, and sometimes investors. But let's talk about something even more powerful: how to sell old rare coins, how to sell coins safely, and how people actually turn coins into real money. First question I hear all the time: how do I know if my coin is valuable? Simple. Start with a magnifying glass or phone camera. Look at the date, mint mark, letters, and Lincoln's face. Any doubling, any missing details, any cracks, bumps, or misalignments. Then compare your coin online with known varieties or error images from trusted grading companies. And if something looks unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning destroys value faster than you can say oops. Think of dirt as protection, not damage. Next question viewers always ask: where can I sell old and rare coins in the USA? You have several options: local coin shops, coin shows, online marketplaces, major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or Great Collections. But here's the truth. The biggest money usually happens when coins are professionally graded and auctioned, because serious collectors trust certified coins and are willing to compete for them. Another big question: how do I sell coins without getting ripped off? This one matters. Always get multiple opinions. Never rush into the first offer, especially if someone seems overly eager. Real dealers explain, not pressure. And if your coin could be valuable, consider third-party grading from companies like PCGS or NGC. They authenticate, grade, and encapsulate your coin, which can multiply its market value overnight. Now let's go deeper. How do people actually make money from coins? Most people think coin collecting is boring, until they realize it's one of the few hobbies where history, art, scarcity, and money collide. Some collectors buy undervalued coins and hold them as investments. Others specialize in error coins, like the 2007 penny, because mistakes can't be reproduced, making them permanently rare. Some people flip coins quickly. Others build collections that later sell for 6 or 7 figures at auction. And some, the luckiest, simply find something valuable in circulation. Yes, from pocket change to millions isn't just a catchy phrase. It's happened. Inherited collections, coin jars discovered in basements, rolls purchased from banks that contained rare varieties. The only difference between people who profit and people who miss out: awareness. Let me throw in a pattern interrupt. Imagine telling your friends, "Yeah, I paid for my vacation with a penny." That's either the coolest flex ever or they're calling you a liar. Either way, worth it. Now let's bring this back to the 2007 Lincoln penny. Why is it so important right now? Because millions of Americans still have these coins sitting in drawers, jars, and boxes, and many haven't been checked. And because collectors are aging, estates are hitting the market, and rare error coins are becoming harder to find in circulation every year, which means demand stays strong while supply disappears. And here's the urgent truth: Coins don't magically become more valuable just because time passes. They become valuable when scarcity meets demand, and error coins are already scarce. So if you wait too long, you're not just risking missing a discovery, you're risking selling into a weaker market later instead of a hot one now. Let me ask you this. What would you do if you found a coin worth $5,000 tonight? Would you invest it, pay off debt, take a trip, start something meaningful? Because that decision could start with a single penny. Now let's talk auction values, the part everyone wants to hear. Strong 2007D double die pennies in high condition can sell from hundreds into the thousands. Dramatic off-center strikes with visible dates often bring premium prices. Large die breaks, retained cuds, and major strike-through errors can fetch serious money. And extremely rare wrong planchet errors, while very uncommon, have sold for five figures when authenticated. Market values change constantly based on demand, condition, and rarity, which is why professional grading and auction exposure matter so much. Now, quick question. Have you ever wondered why two identical-looking coins can sell for $1 and $1,000? Condition, certification, and competition. Auctions are emotional. When two collectors want the same coin, price becomes irrelevant, and that's when records are made. Let me shift into something important: fear, excitement, and urgency all in one. Fear: most people never check their coins and unknowingly lose opportunities. Excitement: some people discover life-changing value in everyday objects. Urgency: coins are being spent, lost, and damaged every day, and the supply of rare errors only shrinks. So here's your move. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. Grab your pennies, look for 2007, look for the D mint mark. Examine the letters, date, Lincoln's face, and reverse. Ask yourself, does anything look off, doubled, crooked, broken, missing? If yes, you might be holding something special. And if you are, here's exactly what to do next. First, do not clean it, ever. Second, store it safely in a flip or holder. Third, get opinions from reputable coin dealers or submit it for grading. Fourth, if it grades and confirms as an error, consider selling through auction houses or trusted marketplaces where collectors compete, not negotiate. Now let's answer the biggest viewer questions directly. How to sell old rare coins. Start by identifying, authenticating, and grading. Then choose reputable dealers or auctions, not random buyers. How to sell coins safely. Never rush. Get multiple opinions, avoid pressure, use professional grading, how to make money from coins, learn what to look for, focus on rarity, condition, and demand. Buy smart, hold wisely, sell strategically. From pocket change to millions, is it real? Yes. Rare coins have built fortunes, funded retirements, and changed lives. But it always starts with awareness and action. How to sell old and rare coins in the USA and its value in auction shops. Submit valuable coins to recognized auction houses where collectors bid publicly. That transparency creates true market value and often drives prices higher than private sales. Let me ask you something personal. If a penny could change your financial future, wouldn't you want to know? Because wealth doesn't always arrive in obvious packages. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it looks like copper. Sometimes it weighs exactly 1 cent. And sometimes it's already in your home. So here's my challenge to you: don't scroll. Don't delay. Don't dismiss this. Check your coins tonight. Share this video with someone who collects or inherited old change. And stay curious, because curiosity is the first step toward opportunity. And remember this: history doesn't just live in museums. Sometimes it lives in your pocket. If you want more videos on rare pennies, hidden errors, auction values, and how to turn everyday finds into extraordinary opportunities, make sure you subscribe, because the next coin we cover might be sitting in your house right now. And you don't want to be the person who finds out too late. Welcome back to your future, one penny at a time. Welcome back. What if I told you that a penny you've probably ignored, tossed into a jar, or spent at a gas station could secretly be worth more than your car, more than your mortgage payment? maybe even more than your annual salary. Sounds impossible, right? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your pocket? Not just glanced, but really looked. Because today, we're uncovering the shocking truth about the 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a modern coin that, under the right conditions, has stunned collectors and sold for serious money. And before you laugh and say, "Come on, it's just a penny," remember this. Most million-dollar finds didn't look valuable at first either. This story isn't just about a coin. It's about missed opportunities, hidden wealth, and the uncomfortable reality that the next life-changing discovery might already be sitting in your home right now, unnoticed. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to sell old and rare coins, how to turn pocket change into serious money, and how everyday Americans are quietly cashing in while everyone else keeps spending treasure. Now here's where it gets interesting. The 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced billions of coins that year. And normally, a 2014 penny is worth 1 cent. Yes, 1 penny. I can hear you already, so why am I still watching? Great question. Because within those billions of ordinary coins, a microscopic number escaped with rare and valuable mint errors. And in the coin world, errors aren't mistakes, they're jackpots. Let me ask you this. What if the most valuable thing you've ever owned didn't come in a box, didn't come with paperwork, and didn't even look valuable at all? What if it came from your grocery store change, from your kid's piggy bank, from the bottom of your car cup holder? Yeah, suddenly that jar of coins on your dresser doesn't look so boring anymore, does it? Here's the truth most people never hear. The modern coin market isn't driven by age alone. It's driven by rarity, condition, and mistakes, especially mint errors that should never have left the factory. And some 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies have surfaced with dramatic errors that collectors will pay hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, tens of thousands of dollars for. And no, this isn't internet fantasy. This is real auction data. Now let's talk about the most valuable types of errors found on 2014 pennies. First, doubled dies. That's when the design appears doubled, especially on Lincoln's face, the date, or the words "In God We Trust." To the naked eye, it can look like blurry text. To a collector, it can look like rent money or more. Second, off-center strikes. These are coins where the design isn't centered properly on the planchet. Some look funny, some look ugly, and some look like four-figure price tags. Third, wrong planchet errors. This is where a penny is accidentally struck on metal meant for another coin, like a dime or foreign blank. These are among the rarest and most valuable modern errors. Imagine paying for coffee with something that could buy the coffee shop. Fourth, die cracks, cuds, missing letters, weak strikes, clipped planchets, and transitional metal errors. Each one tells a story of something going wrong inside the mint. And collectors don't just want perfection, they want proof that something went wrong. Now here's where fear comes in, because most people never check their coins. They assume modern coins can't be valuable. And because of that assumption, potentially life-changing finds are quietly disappearing into vending machines, parking meters, and coin-counting machines every single day. That should make you uncomfortable, because the person who finds your coin tomorrow might not be you. Let me pause for a second and ask, what if you already had one of these coins and didn't know it? What if you already spent it? Yeah, that stings a little, doesn't it? But here's the good news, billions of these coins are still in circulation, which means opportunity hasn't left yet. It's just waiting for the person willing to look. And let's inject a little humor here. People will spend 30 minutes scrolling through social media, but won't spend 30 seconds checking the change in their pocket, even though that change might literally be worth more than their phone. Priorities, right. Now let's move into the real story behind the 2014 no-mint mark penny and why collectors are paying attention. In 2014, the Philadelphia Mint produced Lincoln cents using zinc cores coated with copper plating, continuing the postman's 1,000 982 composition. But during production, dies wear out, alignment shifts, blanks get mixed, and machines malfunction. Most mistakes are caught, some aren't. And when they slip through, they become permanent historical artifacts, not defects, but documented anomalies. Collectors hunt these because each one is unique. Unlike normal coins, error coins cannot be reproduced. There is no second batch, no reissue, no do-over. Once discovered, they become part of the permanent numismatic record. And scarcity is the heartbeat of value. Let me ask you, would you rather own something millions of people have, or something almost no one else on Earth has? Exactly. Now here's the exciting part. High-grade, mint-state 2014 no-mint mark pennies, especially those with dramatic errors, have sold at auction for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. Coins graded MS68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC command premiums, because condition amplifies rarity. Add an error on top of that, and now you're not talking about pocket change anymore. You're talking about asset class collectibles. But here's what most people get wrong. They think the coin has to be old to be valuable. Not true. Some of the most expensive modern coins are less than 20 years old. Why? Because collectors want perfection and mistakes, and modern minting creates fewer errors than in the past. So when one surfaces, demand explodes. Now let's switch gears for a moment and talk directly to you, the viewer who's asking, okay, but how do I sell old rare coins? How do I actually make money from coins? How do I turn pocket change into something real? Great questions. Let's break it down simply. First, how do you know if your coin is valuable? You start by checking for mint errors, unusual weight, odd color, missing letters, doubled designs, or off-center strikes. You use a magnifying glass. You compare it to normal examples online. And most importantly, you don't clean it, ever. Cleaning destroys value faster than you can say, "I should have Googled that." Second, how do you sell old and rare coins in the USA? You have four main paths: local coin shops, online marketplaces, major auction houses, and professional coin brokers. Each has pros and cons. Local shops are fast but often offer wholesale prices. Online platforms reach more buyers but require knowledge. Auction houses get top dollar for rare pieces but only accept coins of serious quality. Brokers handle everything but charge commissions. Third, how do you know your coin's true value? You get it professionally graded. PCGS and NGC are the gold standards. Once a coin is slabbed and certified, buyers trust it, and trust equals higher prices. Fourth, how do people really make money from coins? They don't gamble. They educate themselves. They buy undervalued pieces. They sell into strong demand. And sometimes they simply recognize treasure in their own pocket before anyone else does. Now let me tell you something powerful. Almost every major coin discovery story starts the same way. Someone wasn't looking for wealth. They were just curious. They checked a jar, a drawer, a glove box. And suddenly they weren't just holding a coin, they were holding leverage. And here's where urgency kicks in. The more people learn about these coins, the faster the best examples disappear into private collections. That shrinks supply. Prices rise, and opportunities vanish. Coin markets reward early action, not late curiosity. Let me ask you this: if there's even a 1% chance that a penny you own could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, isn't it worth checking? Because the downside is nothing. The upside is life-changing. That's not gambling. That's intelligence. Now let's return to the 2014 no-mint mark penny specifically. Most examples are common, but error examples, especially doubled dies, wrong planchet strikes, off-center strikes over 50%, and dramatic die breaks, are where the serious money lives. Some certified modern error pennies from the 2010s have sold for several $1,000s. And top-condition error coins with eye appeal continue to surprise even veteran collectors. Here's the truth nobody advertises. Wealth doesn't always show up as cash. Sometimes it shows up disguised as ordinary objects, Sometimes it shows up small, sometimes it shows up copper-colored, and sometimes it shows up in your pocket. Let me reset your attention for a second with a strange question. If you found a $10 bill on the ground, you'd pick it up, right? What about a penny that might be worth $10,000? Would you walk past it? Most people already have. Now let's talk about fear again, the healthy kind, the fear of missing out. Because while you're watching this, coins are being spent, rolled, melted, damaged, and lost forever. Rare errors disappear constantly, and once gone, they're gone. There is no recovery, no rewind. That's why serious collectors check every coin, every roll, every change tray, because history proves the next discovery always comes from someone who simply looked when others didn't. Now let's connect everything together. You started this video wondering if a modern penny could really be valuable. You learned that yes, under the right conditions, it absolutely can. You learned that mint errors are not defects but rare manufacturing anomalies that collectors compete for. You learned that 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies, while common in normal form, become extraordinary when paired with errors and high grades. You learned how to sell old rare coins, how to make money from coins, and how everyday Americans turn pocket change into serious assets. And most importantly, you learned that opportunity doesn't look like opportunity at first. It looks ordinary. Let me ask you another question. What if this isn't really about coins at all? What if this is about attention, about awareness, about realizing that wealth often hides in places most people never bother to look? Now let's talk about auctions because many viewers ask, how do I sell old and rare coins in auction shops? Simple. Once your coin is authenticated and graded, you submit it to major houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or Great Collections. These firms market your coin to elite collectors worldwide. Competitive bidding drives prices upward. And when two collectors want the same rare error, logic disappears and emotion takes over, which is exactly how record prices are made. And here's a humorous truth. People will argue for 20 minutes about which fast food fries are best, but won't spend 5 minutes learning how to sell a coin that could pay for a vacation. Humanity is fascinating. Now imagine this. You open a drawer tonight. You dump out a jar of coins. You notice one penny looks strange, the date looks doubled, the edge is off, the color is wrong. You feel your heartbeat change. You get it checked. It gets graded. And suddenly, something that was once invisible becomes valuable, not just in dollars but in what it represents: awareness, action, and possibility. That's how fortunes begin. Not with lottery tickets, not with hype, but with attention. Let me ask you directly, how many pennies do you think you've handled in your lifetime? Thousands, tens of thousands. And how many did you actually examine? Almost none. That gap between what you touched and what you noticed is where opportunity lives. Now here's your challenge. After this video, don't scroll, don't forget, don't say later. Go check your change, check your jars, check your drawers. Check your car. Check your kids' piggy banks, with permission, of course, unless you want to start a family auction war. Look specifically for 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies. Examine them for doubling, off-centers, cracks, missing letters, wrong color, wrong weight, or anything that looks strange. Because strange is valuable in this world. And remember, don't clean them. Don't polish them. Don't try to fix them. Original condition is everything. Let professionals handle it. Let me leave you with one final thought. Most people spend their lives searching for opportunities. A few realize they've been carrying them all along. The difference between the two isn't luck. It's awareness. So ask yourself this. What if tonight is the night you stop spending potential and start recognizing it? What if that penny you've ignored your entire life becomes the first asset you ever truly discovered on your own? From pocket change to possibility, from ordinary to extraordinary, from unnoticed to unforgettable. And the only thing standing between you and that moment is whether or not you're willing to look. Now tell me, when was the last time you checked your chain?